This panel is about Vignettes of Special Worlds, and the moderator is Shilpaa Anand. She has a PhD in Disability Studies, University of Illinois at Chicago. Her research interests include the historiography of disability and culturally different concepts of corporeality. Her papers have been published in journals and edited volumes on disability studies in India and South Asia. She moderates a lively email list called Disability Studies India and has co-edited multiple issues on disability of the web magazine Cafe Dissensus. She currently teaches and heads the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, BITS Pilani, Hyderabad campus, and has an honorary affiliation with the Center for Disability Studies at Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad, as a Distinguished Research Fellow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome all to this very interesting session, which has two authors who have worked on disability, which is still not a very popular area of work. I want to introduce the two authors. One is Debashis Paul, who's a professional management and marketing strategy consultant, whose present work is primarily with clients in the education sector. And then there's Neena Rao, who has founded this NGO called Margika, which is dedicated to mental health awareness and inclusive education for special needs children in India. Before we begin, I just wanted to inform you all that this is going to be a slightly different kind of session because we want to co-create an inclusive space. So we have children at the back of this hall doing their artwork. Since this entire session is on neurodivergence and neurodiversity, please feel free to be distracted. That's part of belonging within this space. So let me just briefly introduce the two books. Debashis Paul's book is called I Have Autism and I Like to Play Good Bad Tennis. Yeah, that's the book. This is a memoir of the years spent with his son who was neurodivergent. Neena Rao's book is actually a compilation of different art and various kinds of expressions of children with disabilities, something that was put together during the COVID-19 pandemic. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to learn about how these two books evolved. Neena will also take a minute to talk about the art session that we have following this one, and then we'll go on to the question. I'd like to know from both of you what made you come up with the idea for this book?
So, good morning, all of you. And as thanks to Hyderabad Literature Festival organizers that we have this opportunity to be here. I am a mother of now a 25-year-old boy who is on the spectrum. Asperger's is the syndrome called. And he is my inspiration behind starting this NGO called Margika, which, as Shilpaa mentioned, works for special needs children. And we are relatively a young organization, started in 2017, but it's during COVID that we really took off. It was like a blessing in disguise, because when there was lockdown, etc., we went online and we did wonders. And one of the products of that wonder is this book, Mindscapes, which is essentially a collection of different art pieces, which is drawing, poetry, essays by special children and their family members. And this was during COVID when, lockdown was imposed. And we learned about some we were actively working in Telangana region, in the rural areas, etc. We heard of 1-2 deaths of special needs children, and that prompted us to do something. And because of that, on one hand, we reached out to 8,000 families regarding COVID education and all through mobile phones. And on the other hand, with the help of our volunteers, we organized a talent show, online talent show, in which children from all over the country participated. And that show was such a big hit that we were inspired to do this book. And I think about the book, would you like me to say a little more about the book? Do I have the time, or just the objective of why we did the book?
Yeah,
great. We'll come back. Yeah. So this book, the joy celebrating these children's lives through the talent show was so inspiring. It gave us, we thought it will be, we need to translate this into something long-lasting. And needs to be showcased to the mainstream world. Because, neurodivergence, or even for that matter, what we in the mainstream society look at as disability, is not only about deficits, it's not only to be, feel pity about, or to be feeling ashamed about. We want to show the beauty, the strength these children can have. And that's what we wanted to showcase through this book. This book has got foreword by Dalai Lama and endorsements by the who's who have done significant work in the area of in this space. And it's for you all to see later. You can browse through it. It's in the and just one more minute I will take to say, so this panel discussion will be followed by the activity where we are going to just have a splash. We are going to have some fun with colors and painting, which is going to capture the flavor of what we are offering through this book. So, thank you.
Debashis, would you like to tell us?
Does it have to be different?
No, you can. Tell us about the book and how you came up with the idea of writing it.
So my book is, am I audible?
I think you have to hold it up like this in front.
So my book is about drawing attention to the issue of parenting a neurodivergent or a child on the autism spectrum, and the challenges and the joy. And I'm emphasized the second also, that there is a lot of joy, lots of rewards in the journey. So my purpose of writing this book is to actually address the helplessness which parents go through in the initial stages of their diagnosis, or the kind of challenges they begin to face as soon as they go to school. So it sort of highlights the pain, the helplessness, yes. So my purpose of writing is to encourage people, give hope and reassurance to parents who go through that helplessness state, and also the struggle that they face. So it's all of that. And most importantly, I think, it is also to raise an understanding amongst the larger society about acceptance, sensitivity, empathy about this condition, because it is not widely known. When we say disability, we visualize a physical disability, either a impairment of vision or a hearing impairment, or the child is in a wheelchair. So the physical disability that is visible is what is normally understood even now as disability. But the intellectual disability, which is so well articulated now in the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, the intellectual disability is how they describe it, I think has to be brought to the forefront. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And no matter what we speak about disability, it ends up being an awareness-raising program of kinds, also a consciousness-raising one. So on that point, can we speak a little bit about the language of disability? Because through your books, I find that both of you are weaving in and out of different kinds of terms and phrases that we use. This session is also called Vignettes of Special Worlds. Debashis, do you want to start off on neurodiversity or neurodivergence, and then we can also think about special needs?
See, what I'm going to say is perhaps going to be what is very contemporary. That does not mean that it sort of refutes what has been the terminology that has been used so far. It doesn't refute it, but I think it's an evolution, and that is not only just for us, it is also globally so. So previously we used to say special needs, or even now we do say special needs, but now there is a certain dimension when we say that a person is with special needs. There is a counter view to that, saying what is so special about their needs. So the term is now not so much in usage internationally. So the special educator, yes, because something special has to be done for that person. Like you provide a special support, even in old age, you provide special support to the person. So that's okay, but not needs. Because needs are human needs. You know, it sort of goes against the grain of understanding that needs are human, all humans are equal. So it somehow sort of goes in some collision there. So therefore, the term that is now used across this domain is neurodivergence. So it is to do with, in India, in the Act, it is called intellectual disability, but internationally it's neurodivergence, but both are fine. I mean, they are positive. They open up the issue better when you say disability, and it also opens up the issue better when you say neurodivergence in terms of the behavior that you see, the difficulties that the individual faces. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with him. But I'll just go a little further and give an example of what's happening currently. I live in US and here, so the terminology and in terms of, and for practical purposes, what we do here as an NGO. So neurodiversity, I mean today, just to give an example, we all are different. I mean, you will realize there is, neurologically, we are all different in so many subtle ways. So neurodiversity, as Debashis put it, is the more popular term now. But within that, today, there's also, from disability rights perspective, a lot of further thought in this. For example, in case of autism today, we are used to using the terminology person with autism, where person first and then comes autism. But now by the autism movement globally, it is, they look at it as, yes, this person has autism, but autism is not like like breast cancer or some disease which needs to be fixed, which needs to be cured. So when you say with autism, means with breast cancer, means that needs to be cured. So it's okay to have autism. It doesn't need to be fixed. You have to just treat that person with autism as a person who is different, who is neurologically different from some other people, just like we all are. And today in the education system also, there is a lot of neuroscience research based pedagogical approaches being developed, and universal design for learning is the best method which takes into account this neurological diversity, and based on that is this approach. So this is about using the term neurodivergence. But for practical purposes in India, especially when we are working with the grassroots level, organizations and government schools, we are almost 15, 20 years behind. And for practical purposes, the entire disability spectrum is addressed as CWSN, Child with Special Needs. And that's the reason we tend to use that term more commonly.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely the self-advocate movement among people on the spectrum has brought in a consciousness of terminology that is very different as well. I was wondering if we can go on to talk about certain parts of the book that both of you really liked doing. I know these are very different kinds of books. One's a compilation and the other is a memoir. But given that it's also situated within the literature section of this fest, and there is a creative process that must have gone into the compilation as well as the writing of the memoir, can you speak for a few minutes on that?
Yeah, maybe Debashis can first.
So there are two parts to the question. No, one is about the creative part of it, and what was the first?
One is, what was the part of the
Okay.
book that you really enjoyed?
Okay. So my reaction as an author of this book is my reaction is that it depends on what readers like. And I have not written only for parents, I just want to clarify, or professionals in the domain of neurodivergence. It's also for the world at large. In fact, the highest kudos I have received till date are actually from people who have no connection with autism, no connection with neurodivergence, no connection with special education. They have written to me and they've called me up and they've left reviews. You can see it on Amazon. It's so I'm saying, when you ask the question of which part you like, it actually depends on the reader, isn't it? However, if I look at it in an unbiased sort of way, I mean, of course, I enjoy writing the book entirely, but there is a section or a chapter on where Noel learns to swim. And I think you've read my book, so you know that part. So people will have to actually read it, because that story is metaphorical. It is not just about the child in that situation or the father in that situation trying to find a solution about how he can teach him swim, and thereafter eventually goes to the Special Olympics in Bombay and competes, and then he wins a silver medal and a gold medal. But the whole process, which is what I've written about, is a human journey. It's a totally a human interface with people who have no idea of the condition, and then when they understand, how they extend the support. So I think it is metaphorical in the sense that this is how it should be, not just about swimming, which is illustrated in the story, but it is about everything that you learn, every skill that the child develops. It represents that. So for me, that is close to my heart. Yeah. And I would urge people to read that chapter.
So about Mindscapes, as I mentioned, our objective is to give a good, glimpse into special world to the mainstream society. And so the basic idea of, the conceiving the idea of putting it in a comprehensive way to present the special world, and that how to design it so that it will complement and it will translate into reality, was the most important and fascinating part of the whole journey. And in that, I mean, the beauty of this book is, and we did it consciously, that, I mean, I feel proud to say that so far I have not seen from whatever search I have done on internet or met people, I have not seen many or any other work yet, I may be wrong, but where in this fashion you have, we have brought these children's voices directly to the mainstream society, directly to the audience, unadulterated. There is no interpretation of what that child thinks or what that child feels. So it's up to you all to decide and interpret what you see there and present it in such a way that the beauty, the strength, and the power of being different is brought out effectively. That was the most challenging, interesting, and fascinating part for us. And along with that, we have also given the parents' perspectives. Because once there is a family member with special, I will use special needs word, or for that matter, a neurodivergent kid, or an individual in the family, your world changes. And your dreams, everything changes for the family. So that also needs to be brought out, because they say to raise a child with autism, it takes a village. So in that means you require the entire community. And the thoughts, when you talk about world, special world, that community is equally important. So we have been able to bring that also on the table through the book. And that part is the most fascinating part for me.
Thank you. I hope prospective readers are getting encouraged to procure these books and also go through them. I have a question related to what we were discussing here. While we have been talking about neurodivergence and the children or adults with neurodiversity, I was wondering about the world of neurotypicals as well, because both your books are also speaking about the relationality or the relationship between these two worlds. And to use a word that you use, Debashis, you talk about recalibrating. Recalibrating one's own social expectations, ambitions, and so on. So could both of you speak a little bit about that relationship between the multiple worlds?
I think what Neena just said, that people, that it affects obviously the family so much that they need to re-examine everything. There's a bit of turbulence in terms of how you would conduct your life thereafter. I think she refers to that. So what I say is that you have to recalibrate, because there's so much pressure. Now let's put the neurodivergent child on the side. What is actually going on? There are certain expectations, and not just parents' expectations, the extended family expectations, your grandparents, in-laws, your friends, close relatives. When a child arrives in typical Indian family, regardless of socio-economic strata, there is a lot of celebration, there is a lot of expectations, and thereafter you set your ambitions for the child, your own goals for the child. So firstly, you need to recalibrate. And there is nothing wrong in that, because all of us don't have to run the same race. I keep saying that, because we are actually psychologically, the way we are conditioned, the way the whole society is functioning, it's all very success driven. And that is what media also feeds you continuously. It is only the most successful people we talk about. It is the most successful people in sports who win medals for the country we celebrate. And it's almost become a sort of, a reflexive action now that, oh, that's natural, that's how it should be, because media has told us that. We don't question it. But there is so many other people. We are always talking about this 2%, 3%, even in schools. I'm associated with, like in my introduction you said, I'm associated with counseling schools. Now Now, I noticed that, what they want to advertise to the world is all about the toppers in the school. The front page newspaper will carry who are the highest CTC, salaries people have got at the campus, whether it is IIT or IIM or whatever, any of these institutions. Why? Nobody questions that. How much, what is the big salary? And, first salary offered is the mode of advertising for a lot of private universities. I'm saying that is all, somehow set our minds in a certain direction. We need to question that. So my book, when I say recalibration, it's one word, but it questions all of this, Why? Why do you have to set those kind of standards? And more so, now you bring the neurodivergent child who's waiting outside the room into the room. First of all, you should recalibrate this anyway, whether it is a neurotypical child or whether you have children or not even. You just have to be more realistic about the pressures you bring onto yourself and to your family. Second, when the child is the neurodivergent child, you cannot have the same yardstick. He is not going to be able to, top his class or even begin to have social conduct, which is most people expect. And he will point them out, oh, he's been brought up badly. Oh, your parents are useless. They're doing a lousy job. This struggle is always there, even with the society for the parents. So what happens when you put the same yardstick of success onto these kids? It's so unfair. So, if you first recalibrate your own goals, your own ambition, personal ambitions, I have to become CEO by so-and-so age, because, you're conditioned like that. You actually begin to compromise so much in your life, number one. Number two, you're not going to be able to do justice to your neurodivergent child in the family. So I set that alert for parents to really recalibrate.
Yeah, I think Debashis has kind of said most of the things, but I would just put it in perspective. As you said, if the parents are neurotypical, when there is an occurrence like this in the family, the process starts with yourself, There are typically, when we do trainings as parents to, take care of these children, they have defined certain stages. So typically the parents or the guardian goes through different stages once this occurrence happens, once there is this occurrence. First is complete denial. Why me? Why should it cannot happen to me. I have done so well, this one is that, So there's complete denial, there is anger, there is a lot of, and that causes a lot of stress in the family. Marriages break, families can break, lots of things can happen. So after that stage is where you begin to look for how do some go into grief. And it takes, for some people, it takes a lot of time to come out of that grief. If you are lucky enough, if you have good support system, then you start moving towards acceptance. And once you accept it yourself, there is, as Debashis said, then you start looking at world as, do I really need to be the CEO of this? What joy is it going to give me? You start asking, so it's a self-reflective journey within that we as parents go through when this happens. And the struggle with the neurotypical world outside is constant. Because depending on your child's progress and your interaction with the outside world, from time to time, there is this struggle and you have to advocate yourself. Your child has to advocate himself or herself. And in fact, today, I mean, when we decided to do this panel discussion, what I did with the organizers, I said, I would like to do this activity here. That was a kind of negotiation to create a shared experience in the neurotypical world so that, they also become part of this, whatever we are doing. They understand we are talking about them, they should be part of it. And so at every step, you have to keep negotiating with the neurotypical world.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those very insightful responses. Perhaps we can go on to talk about what the one major takeaway of your book is and address it to very specific readers perhaps you have in mind. Though you did say, Debashis, that there's a very wide readership that you have acquired. But if you were to speak specifically to parents or to other people, service providers involved in relation to disability, what is the one takeaway you think your book has? Could both of you respond to that?
After this, we should do questions.
Yeah, we are ready. Yeah.
So my key takeaway would, for parents, professionals, and actually the wider world, is one is what we spoke about. I think I spoke in a fairly passionate way, which is about recalibration of your life. Yeah. Stress factors are many. Anxiety factors will be multiple in today's complex world, okay? And it is only going to get more and more. So I always say that to the younger audiences whom I address nowadays is just, you have to learn to keep a balance and recalibrate your goals, which I spoke about. So that's takeaway one for all people. More so for parents of, neurodivergent children. The second takeaway is only two words, which I've spoken about in various places. It's there in my book. It's about everyday courage. That you have to, nobody else will come and do it for you. No guru will do it for you. No reading of books will do it for you. No religious practice or ritual will do it for you. You have to build your capability of everyday courage yourself. And you will see, you will do wonders. I'm not advocating that you have to compromise on everything. No, it's about courage means, okay, today I didn't get it right. I'll get it right tomorrow. I'll try some new technique. I'll do some more research. I'll find out who can advise me the best. That's all part of everyday courage, because to give in is very, very, you'll never get any positive results out of it. You will have to continuously sustain your courage. It's everyday courage. It's not that one big moment will happen and my life will be transformed. This is another thing which media feeds. Which was the turning point? Which is that one moment? You'll see this one in interviews with celebrities and, sports celebrities. Life is not that moment. Life is every day. And what you do every day is only going to get you the results that you're looking for, and will bring more joy to the child, will develop the child far better. And my book is about everyday courage. Thank you.
Yes, I mean, similar to what, because truth is always the same, right? So I would say doing away with the stigma and acceptance is what I intend to do through this book. And my message to parents would be, and those who are involved, the extended community involved in caregiving of these children, we should consider ourselves in a very spiritual way lucky, gifted. We are here to, as Debashis also said, or we all have been, I'm sure you all have experienced it also at different points of time. This kind of, and I said as occurrence, makes you more reflective. You start, your journey within begins. and goes deeper and deeper as you face adversities in life. And once you start, so in that sense, I think, and once you go really deeper, the rat race, just doesn't mean anything to you. And your joys, you start learning being joyous through small, you start finding small joys in life. And that everyday courage. And not only courage, going beyond that, you start enjoying them. And it really makes you happy. And once that thing strikes here, even if somebody coming in a Maserati or a Ferrari, and you can see the house, whether it's only skin deep. So in that sense, I mean that the spiritual journey becomes stronger and you go deeper within yourself. So go for it and enjoy your new world, which is a parallel and which is the real world, which is the true world.
True.
In essence, it is that.
Absolutely. Well said.
Thank you. We'll open it up for audience questions now. There's
Hello, thank you for the very insightful session. So I have two questions. So I am diagnosed with ADHD, but that is very late. And because the ADHD, of course, as you know, leads to many problems. You also have the self-esteem issues and the anxiety and some minor depression that comes with it. So apparently, like for ADHD, the medicines in India are highly regulated, and of course they should be, but like the best of the treatments are not available. There is a lot of stigma. Parents simply deny it and call it just pent up of energy. Some teachers also do the same, and also doctors initially treat you with probably not so beneficial things because they don't want to put you on stimulants, right? So my question is, who do you put the onus on? It's a lot of different people, a lot of different stakeholders. But what is the low-hanging fruit for you who can identify people with probably ADHD and, make their life better? Because it impacts every walk of your life. So yeah, if you can answer that. So.
This is the domain of... This is a domain of a health professional, qualified mental health professional. So there is, if there's a diagnosis, ADHD, there are, of course, you need drugs to support the person, but drugs is not the only thing. There are various other things also that can be done. But then to begin with, you should go to a health professional.
But that buy-in to go to a health professional should come somewhere from the teachers identifying that, probably you should show the student to a psychiatrist.
If it's a school-going child, of course it will first come from the teacher, because the child may be may not be facing those ADHD issues at home, but may be facing in the school environment, or vice versa. So, in either case, whether there is the parent at home who is supervising or caregiver, that person should take the lead, or it has to be the school teacher who is watching the child for so many hours in the school. Yeah.
Can I respond also? Yeah. So I would say, looking at you, you are a fairly, independent person who can gather information, who can this thing. I agree with you totally that in India, especially in Hyderabad, things are still, last 5 years, there's a lot of progress, but it's not easy to find a good health professional who is trained and aware of all this. So, unfortunately, that's the case. So in the given circumstances, practically speaking, you would be better off first, look on the web, through internet. There are a lot of NGOs working within Hyderabad also. You approach them, you talk to them, and also there are a lot of support groups, international and local, domestic. And because of online international groups, you can join them as well. And that's where you can do fact-checking, and arrive at your own path. Because only if you are lucky you will, it is still a struggle. I agree with you. But you have to be use all your, and these kind of sessions are helpful for that. So wherever you get a chance to online webinars and all, educate yourself.
It's actually an observation more than a question. When you were talking about goals we set up, I find my grandson being accepted happily by the uneducated. My help, all my help, who come, I'm employing more people now than I need because he goes around happily with them and they have no problem. You know, what is wrong, I sometimes wonder, is with our education. I keep thinking, what is the matter with us? You know, you tell your friend and you expect support, but they are immediately, you can see them, okay, if I ask her to come, will she bring her grandson? How is he going to behave? How is my time going to be spoiled? You know, there are so many things that suddenly it's like putting some lime juice into milk and you see it split and you have two kinds of people. It's what has education done to us? And do you think, like in feminism I was just listening to, is freeing the man of norms more than women? Do you think the neurotypical person needs more education than the other, you know? When we talk about them, I learn a lot from my grandson than I did in my whole years. I learn a lot from my help, my girls who come home and say, Babu, etlunar Babu, and they treat him normally, come, do this, do that. And why is it that we are so caught up in this? And I loved your concept about the first page. In Hyderabad, it used to be every tutorial institute has a whole page of how many people get into IIT. We are obsessed about that. And all that, has it made us into something very different? Are we normal is a question I get from, is my takeaway point from my grandson. Thank you.
Thank you for the very insightful session. My question was that in the introduction, you spoke about the challenges and the joys of parenthood when it comes to a neurodivergent kid. I'd like you to focus a little bit on the joys of.
So when you read my book, I dearly hope that you would. There are many joys. There are such joys, you know, you think, and now I'm talking from my own personal experience, that this is a miracle happening, and which is the ultimate expression of something really joyous, completely unexpected. And the miracle unfolds before your eyes. And I say in my book, there is no bigger joy that I have ever experienced in my life. And I tell, whether it is in academics, coming first in class in school, or in college or whatever, or even getting a big promotion in my workplace, or winning an award for a great advertising campaign at Cannes. That joy is irreplaceable. And there are many, many such, you know, so those I talk about in my book. 15 years, this, you know, you see this picture of my son playing tennis, illustration, and you know, I've been coaching him for 15 years. So another aspect which I quickly add is, I talk a lot about the value of sporting activities for our special children. The amount of learning, and it is not just physical, the emotional, the self-esteem, communication issues, setting them, giving them a sense of freedom, a sense of self-accomplishment. You know, we all want self-recognition, and it doesn't matter whether you're neurotypical or handicapped. every human being seeks self-recognition, appreciation. So sports is a fantastic space, and I have not seen any literature on the subject till now. I mean, I have written about it, but I wish this is a very important aspect for everyone to know. And you will then see you'll open up doors for more joys when you go into sports. Because Noel could not even hold a racket, a tennis racket. Because, the other thing about neurodivergence is we feel that it is the problem again with the definitional thing is intellectual disability. We think it's only to do with the mind. Sorry, our brain controls all our physical actions. So you will find children in the autism spectrum who have a lot of physical handicaps. So Noel, my son, could not, had a huge gross motor coordination. Now I don't want to go to the technicalities, but basically you cannot grip. Like when you're holding something, when you're riding a motorbike, handles, you're gripping, you know exactly, almost intuitively, you don't even have to be taught how I should grip. Sometimes gentle. When I'm applying brakes, how should my grip go? This is the gift of our Creator, that intuitively your body functions. This ability is absent in autism spectrum. I'm not saying for all. That's why it's, different degrees of handicap will appear. So this child could not hold the racket. He can't hold anything tight. Without knowing how to grip the racket, you cannot play the game. Right? That child goes on to play tennis in the tennis court. So that is an illustration of the joy that I'm talking about. And that journey took a long time. You cannot use the same yardstick of time. Like what the private coaches will do is, in 2 months, it won't happen in 2 months. It won't happen. You have to keep struggling, and then one day he will hit brilliant, powerful shots, and his grip is got right. So this is just one, these are the moments of great joy, I think, we discovered on our path in raising a child with neurodivergence.
Yeah, if it's the last question, I can just add.
I think we'll take just one more question. If there's.
Okay,
So-
so in that, I can.
I won't space it as a question, but I will space it as a thought to leave with the entire audience which are here. A parent of such a child came to me and said, my son can bake, can make donuts. Can you market it for me? I tried my best. I work in an airline, and my airline said the process of the food which is being served in the aircraft goes through multiple processes. We cannot accept this. So I tried my best and I failed. Today I feel that all the people who are here have to try better than the best. And only that will bring inclusiveness in our whole society.
Thank you. So I'll respond to both your comment and your this thing and his answer to your question. Yeah, I would say your question was about joys. So joys are small joys and big joys. It depends on your frame of reference. Your parameters have to change. And so within that, I'll just give 2 examples of small joy and big joy in my life with respect to my son. So coming to big joy first, which is simpler to this thing, he is into horse riding. And Asperger's is a very high functioning kind of autism condition. So, and we live in US now. So we went there because for better care. So he was selected by the county to take part in dressage competition at the national level, and we went to Kansas City, where I could see, I mean, I was beaming with pride and joy. So, it was not, and now he's coming to the level of competing with the so-called in the neurotypical world also. Riding with him, the moment he achieves something, goes a step forward, that is a big joy too. But then coming to small joys, making him self-reliant or independent is such a big challenge. I mean, some of it is because of the conditions, some of it is the way he was being too pampered, being too protective towards him because he has that condition. So the other day, it's a simple thing, we were all sitting, and last few months we have decided that we have to focus on making him independent. So we were all sitting and he came forward and he said, should I make tea for all of you? I mean, it was such a, that he himself understands that people have come, we have some guests, and I need to entertain them. And he comes forward, and it's a big step forward. So these are the small joys.
All right, thank you to both of you, and thank you to the audience. I think it was a very enriching conversation. Hope you'll buy the book.
I want to thank Dr. Vijay. I think he's here in the audience. Yeah, so for having this panel, this session, as part of the literary section of HLF. Thank you very much, Dr. Vijay, and the HLF team, the entire festival team. Thank you very much.